your comments about the grandmother or whatnot. Like, so since you cheated on your wife and had Nevaeh, um, and you
Hmm.
kept that secret from her to protect her, once you
Hmm.
find out, she didn't say bring the baby home. Like, what was that? That was never a conversation as far as
It
after she
was,
found out.
yep. It was always a conversation. It was always a conversation. That was one of the main reasons I was taking bikes, clothes, whatever that baby wanted. Like like the baby never ran away. This has never happened before, and she was seen running with some kids. So, we're gonna find her and we're gonna bring her home. And you know, now my family's asking like, well, are they gonna do a police conference? And I'm like, well, Mama said they were gonna do a police conference. They're trying to schedule. It's gonna be on this day. Now, mind you, this is like around the ninth or whatever. I believe it was the ninth. But we was having these conversations, and I'm like, okay, so it was just kept on like we were gonna do this, we're gonna do this. Time going, it's just a whole bunch of like I would call her, call Mama, and I didn't want to bother her, but she was always be like, I'm tired, and yeah, maybe, and she's always like she seemed like the perfect grandmother. Well, now when I used to go over there. Everything was the house was immaculate. She was always working, trying to do something. The baby was happy, cooking, things like that. It was never and she's a God fearing woman. So it was always like a good vibe. So I respected her with a good vibe. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So if she told me something, I really believed it. I would have never thought it would be so much shady stuff coming from her direction, you know.
And all
So
of that to say that the picture was painted perfectly in your eyes, and it looked like nothing was going wrong or nothing was ever wrong in the
ever
situation.
wrong,
And when
right?
uh, this particular situation came about, they're telling you that this is something that never happened, and they weren't worried about it as if they was expecting her to come back home anytime soon.
Right. No, correct. Now I want to say this. Now at this time they were dealing with DPS, that's the Detroit school system police, right? So she had even explained that to me. So so eventually when I got out, I didn't want to keep talking to her, but I wanted more information. So I got out of the hospital. I wasn't even supposed to be walking. I'm on a medicine that keeps my heart pumping. I wasn't even supposed to be walking. I got nurses calling me because they was concerned because of police. And well, I'm out there, me, my wife passing out flyers, my sister, my son, my nephew. We out here passing out flyers. And I would stop over at mom's house and try to get, direction of where I should go, what's going on. And she would just come out. She said, oh, yeah, we out passing them out earlier and this and that. I'm like, okay, well, we're going to do this. We out there day and night. But every time we went, they were in the house. And then the twins, like, I know them. They never came out the house. So I feel like, what's going on over here? So one day I went over there, or I was having a conversation with the grandmother. She said, uh, I don't know why everybody want to ask where, like, Chantel got an older son. I think he's around 70, 18 now. They want to talk to him. I don't know why the police want to talk to him. He ain't got nothing to do nothing with it. You see what I'm saying? It's just her
So
attitudes started changing.
okay, so now you're saying that, right? Basically, you're saying all of that to say that you notice red flags about certain situations, and you probe them and ask them about it, and they act suspiciously. I guess to say, for lack of a better way of
Correct.
explaining it.
Right. Now, when we was trying, I said, Mama, and after a while, I'm like, Mama, we done put these flyers up. All the kids that we talking to, they're saying they know her, but they ain't seen her in 2 or 3 weeks. And I'm like, well, that's about when the thing happened. It ain't nobody seeing her, but Mama telling me they seeing her running up and down the street. And I'm trying to keep calm. Now, after we go through, and I'm going to jump right back. You know, DPS and the Detroit Police Department, they do have a certain procedure and protocol on how they do things. If it's a runaway, I think they treat the situation different than a missing person. I don't know. Now that all this came out, I think she was reported as a runaway. You know, and I think that was set up like that. I really do. I really do think it was set up like a runaway for time purposes. Said that I pulled up. Well, a guy was at the school in a pickup truck, and Naziah had went out there to the pickup truck, and the principal had supposedly went out there and said, "Who are you talking to who was that?" Naziah turned around and said, "This is my dad." So the lady was like, "Yo, Dad." So when she started walking towards her, they said the guy pulled off. So the Naziah came back in. So I said, "Well, Ma, you know, I didn't know where y'all lived at." She was like, "Yeah, because we moved." I said, "Well, ain't nobody called me." She was like, "Well, we tried to call, the number didn't go through." I said, "Mama, I was in the hospital so long, I don't even know where that phone was." I said, you know, so, and if anything, what happened, I will call you. She was like, "I know, you're very respectful." So I'm not thinking of the conversation. So we still talking. I said, "Well, what did she say?" She said she asked her, "Who was that?" She said she looked at her and said, "That's my daddy, Anna." And she was like, "That is not your dad." And this, that. So I think she said she started crying or whatever. And she said, we'll deal with this later. So I'm like, okay. So now going back real quick. Now, mind, I told you when we got out, we was passing out flyers. I would go over there and ask her what area should I go in. She was like, "Well, go down there to Chatsworth, on Chatsworth." So I guess the back of the school sits on Chatsworth. I said, "Well, Ma, why would I go down there on Chatsworth?" She was like, "Because that's when Naziah walked through the field and met with that guy at the truck." I said, "So she walked through the back of the school, Ma, and walked through the field?" You know, I'm trying to figure out. She was like,
you say all of that to say that
the
they knew
story's
that
changed.
she was possibly dealing with somebody out of her age range and was not doing nothing about it.
Now, I'm about to tell you some more stuff. I just wanted to give you that scenario. Now, Naziah is smart, okay? If that was the case, I believe she was covering up for somebody. He didn't want them to get exposed. Now, as I listen to your
Somebody
podcast,
that's over age,
that
right?
she knows, yep, that she knows, and they not her age. Now that I listen to your story, and it's like this guy who's one of the twins' boyfriends. You see what I'm saying? And this guy's supposed to have all this sexual misconduct junk and all this nasty stuff. Okay, you know,
You talking about
red
the
flag.
Jarvis dude?
Yeah, I believe that's him. I believe it's him. Because I don't know none of this. I don't, you know what I'm saying? So I don't want to say it's this guy, but I believe it's him. I just heard about this yesterday. So now before all this, me and mom was having a conversation. I said, "Well, Ma, well, how did you manage?" You know, she said, "Well, I think Shannon, one of the twins, her man would pick up the kids from school sometimes, take them up to his shop, and they would clean up and work up there, and she would go pick them up." So I'm thinking like, well, maybe this is the guy she was protecting. This before I even know this guy was a pedophile. You know, I'm like, "Okay, Ma, you know, we need to look into that." She was like, "No, because he ain't with her no more, you know, or whatever that she might have said, you know." So I'm thinking in my head like, okay, but now I listen to your podcast and I'm putting two to two together. So your podcast, I listened to that last night, right?
Right.
That night I texted the grandmother. I said, "Oh my God, I can't believe you." I said, "Twin, you know, like this shit really hurt." I said, "Y'all sick over there." I said, 7 kids, like 5 with this guy, 7. You know what I'm saying? But I asked Mama before I sent them text, "Who is Jarvis?" You know, this woman sat up there and act like she ain't know who he was, and then was like, that's him, boyfriend. I said, well, is that the one they got in custody? She was like, look, her voice got real uppity then. She was like, look, I'm not saying nothing. The police say people going to say things. When you get out here, they're going to, and don't believe them until they come back and tell you what's what. But I've been asking you the truth about these situations, and you haven't been truthful not once. You know what I'm saying? Now, she go back and tell the police, my daughter has been running away. But you tell me she has never done it before.